Imagine walking into a vast circular library. Every shelf glows faintly, humming like a quiet beehive. These shelves hold the lessons. The ones you've read, the ones you've lived, the ones you promised yourself that you'd come back for one day. You run your hand along the spines, and the books breathe open on their own. Each page whispers, "You already know this. You just forgot you knew." One book smells like rain on copper. It speaks of intuition, the science of stillness. Another hums like electricity. It speaks of pattern recognition, of how the nervous system maps intention. A third radiates warmth. It speaks of service. Then every act of coherence ripples outward like concentric waves. And somewhere between the stacks, a simple realization catches up to you. Every time I choose awareness over autopilot, I recalibrate the field. The librarian, who looks suspiciously like your future self, smiles and says, "That's the real channeling. Not voices from elsewhere, but a calmer signal from within." You start to laugh because you realize you've been practicing this for years. Every gut feeling that saved you, every flash of empathy that softened a conflict, every coincidence that felt too precise to be random, that was you tuning in. You just hadn't called it that. Now, the librarian points to two doors. One reads delay, the other decide. Behind the first, you glimpse your life looping on repeat. Same lessons, louder volume, same stories about someday. Behind the second, you see the same scenes, but this time you're awake inside them, steering instead of reacting. You can almost feel the physics of it, like a gyroscope finding balance, once the spin is owned instead of resisted. The librarian says quietly, not choosing is still a choice. But momentum collects itself. You know exactly what they mean. Once there was a musician who tried to catch divine music with a rusty antenna. He kept blaming the sky for static, until one day he realized the antenna was just covered in his own fingerprints. So he polished it, not perfectly, just daily. Each time he wiped away another smear of self-doubt. The melody came through clearer. It wasn't magic. It was maintenance. That is what these teachings are. Maintenance of perception. Science would call it neuroplasticity. Spirit would call it alignment. Either way, the physics are the same. Coherent signals require tuned instruments. Every micro-choice toward coherence, a breath, a pause, a clearer question, it compounds into microscopic change. In brain terms, you're reweighting neural networks. In energetic terms, you're altering probability density. In everyday terms, you've simply become less reactive and more creative. The ramifications ripple through relationships, work, even how random strangers treat you. When one person stabilizes, the social field nearby quiets by measurable degree. A literal drop in ambient cortisol and mirror neuron noise. That's the unseen gift of practice. And the opposite. Neglect the tuner long enough and entropy wins. Static grows. Drama loops. Synchronicities fade. Because you're not listening for them. It's not punishment. Just physics again. Untuned instruments drift out of key. So here's the game, not a command, an experiment. For the next while, notice the half second between a stimulus and your response. That gap is the doorway where intuition lives. Widen it a little. Breathe there. Ask, what's the most coherent move that I could make right now? And watch what happens. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's laughter. Sometimes it's a completely different decision than habit would suggest. Collect those moments. That is your lab data. You're not here to ascend out of life. You're here to descend into it fully, cleanly, consciously. Channeling isn't escape. It's accurate participation. Intuition isn't fortune-telling. It's pattern recognition, sharpened by empathy. Belief isn't fantasy. It's the operating system that your actions compile. The consequences of acting on this awareness: a quieter nervous system, more precise creativity, relationships that feel less like collisions and more like choreography. The consequence of ignoring it: just repetition, louder lessons, tighter spirals, more why me, until you remember the mirror never shouts first. So here's the gentle paradox. When you stop chasing the signal and start maintaining the instrument, the music plays itself. Take a breath. Let what's useful stay. Let what's not useful fade. Nothing to install, only to remember.